Hey, come on in, pull up a chair because the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. And yes, I was not around all last week. Well, I was around. I was sick. So, I was around. I just wasn't doing anything. Really weird. Just some sort of weird, like, stomach bug or something. And it was funny because I started coming down with it because if you watch the show quite often, then you already know that I had been keeping an eye on all the pets over at my brother's house a couple of weekends ago. And then suddenly I started feeling like I was coming down with something. It wasn't the flu. Might have been like a stomach bug. Anyway, hey, all right, Lead Magnet's like, where have you been? Where have I been? I was sick. So yeah, sorry about that. But I'm back. So today is December 10th. It's Monday. And this is episode 208 of the Daily Dope. Pretty sweet. Got lots cooking for us. So we are going to have a lot of fun leading up to Christmas Eve. So today I am actually going to be unboxing and taking a first look at Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles from my pals over at Ares Games. This is a miniatures game that a lot of people have been really looking forward to checking out. And it's somewhatly based on the Wings of Glory and kind of Sails of Glory system from Ares. But it's got some tweaks, I do believe. And I'll be the first to admit, I've never played either one of those Ares games. I know, and I dig miniatures, and I love World War I aerial combat games, which I'll talk a little bit about when I dig into the first look. But anyway, do want to point out this is a live stream. There is chat available. So as I mentioned, we already see Lead Magnet popping in saying, hey, where you been? So if you are watching live and you just want to say hello, or you have a question, or maybe when I'm unboxing Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles, you want to see something a little closer up, feel free, chime on in. I will respond. Chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay, I guess I will say. But by all means, say howdy. All right, so let's start off with some news. I got a good amount of news, considering I did nothing for an entire week. So let's jump on in. I do know there are some folks out there who don't care for the tabletop gaming news of the day. So if that's the case, check the show notes and you can skip right ahead because I will have the timestamps there. But anyway, just want to point out that next summer is going to see the release of the next in the highly regarded Tiny Epic series of games from Gamelyn Games. And of course, I've got the dope on Tiny Epic Mechs. It's the year 3030, and technology offers humankind unimaginable entertainment. I don't know, I can imagine quite a bit. What used to be virtual reality is now reality, and sports that once occupied your flat screen now occupy the world stage. The largest of them embodies the evolution and integration of athleticism and machinery. Once every 5 years, hundreds of millions of viewers tune in to witness the spectacle that is mechs, mechanized entertainment combat heroes. Tiny Epic Mechs is an arena-style player-versus-player action programming game. It features item meeples with plastic-molded power armors and a mech suit that the item meeples actually go inside of. In Tiny Epic Mechs, players take on the roles of highly skilled and athletic mech pilots. They compete in a free-for-all battle royale over the span of 6 rounds. In each round, players select 4 of 8 available actions to program. These actions keep you moving around the arena while allowing you to deploy high-scoring defensive turrets, plant explosive landmines with hidden values, collect resources, purchase weaponry, and power up your power armor. I would think that's what you'd need to do with power armor, is power it up. or eventually the highly sought-after mech suit. While each player has their own power armor, there's only one mech suit reserved for the King of the Hill, known as Hank Hill. No. Your programmed actions are played out one at a time around the table until all players have executed their 4 actions. When you cross paths with another player, combat ensues. During combat, players exchange fire until one player is out of ammo and must retreat, or they are defeated and forced to reset. Combat is fast, and you can use each weapon only one time per fight. So the more weapons you have, the longer you'll last. Weapons are categorized into 3 types, and each type counters one of the other types. A little rock, paper, scissors going on there. If you time your weapons correctly, you can counter your opponent and unleash a more powerful attack and gain an edge over them. Dealing a lot of damage to your opponent will wow the audience and earn you lots of points, which brings you closer to victory. You also score victory points every other round based on area control and who controls the mech. At the end of the game, you also earn points for each weapon you own. Tiny Epic Mechs is for 1 to 4 players. Yes, there will be solitaire rules for this. Ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 to 60 minutes, and will more than likely carry an MSRP between $25 and $30 when it releases next summer. Oh, hey, and so Brant, who is Lead Magnet, won the Fire in the Lake copy I had from GMT Games during our Extra Life charity event. So good deal. I sent that out and it was in excellent shape. Sweet. Very, very cool. I'm glad I actually personally had to mail that out. So I made sure that there was some like popcorn, not popcorn, bubble wrap kind of around it to make sure it didn't get banged up. All right, so moving right along to my next news piece. There's another science fiction game that's on the horizon, but it's much closer than Tiny Epic Mechs, and that's Ganymede from Lucky Duck Games. They've got quite a few cool-looking titles, but here's the dope on Ganymede. In Ganymede, players are corporations. I guess corporations are people, huh? Specializing in transporting settlers to Ganymede, where the settler ship launch sites are located. These ships will lead the settlers to distant planets of the galaxy. Resources, settlers, are not spent, but transported from one location to another thanks to the shuttle cards used by players during the game. Settlers return to the reserve once a completed settler ship takes off, rewarding players with victory points. Ganymede is a development and tableau building game in which players are corporations specialized in sending settlers to colonize the universe. To do so, you will recruit settlers on Earth, use shuttles to transport them to Mars, then to Ganymede, where the settler ship's launch base is located. Game ends when a player has launched 4 settler ships into space. Players score victory points from their launch ships and from their reputation track. Ganymede is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays at around 20 to 40 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it arrives in February. Yeah, can't get good help these days. No, you certainly can't, even when it's family-related help. Anyway, hey, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. Anywho, I have been hearing some good buzz about Ganymede, and I believe it was available at Spiel. I think it was out there at Essen. It was either available at Essen, or a lot of people were actually playing demos of it, because I have heard some really good buzz, and it's got kind of an interesting art style. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head, there's a computer game that has the same sort of art style, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. But especially the box art for Ganymede, I'm like, hey, that's like, and then I keep drawing a blank. Anyway, well, the wargamers out there should be interested, because there is a new wargame coming from Compass Games. I believe it is shipping now, and I have the dope on Tinian. Most people have never heard of the Battle of Tinian. Overshadowed by the Battle of Saipan to the north and the invasion of Guam to the south, Tinian seems like a small sideshow that had no real impact on the war. Some people may hear the name and remember that the B-29s, the ones that dropped the atomic bombs on Japan, flew from there, but for the rest, it has become a minor part of military history, a forgotten battle. I have to point out, I'm familiar with this because I watched Ken Burns' The War, and they did talk quite a bit about the invasion of Tinian as part of the whole island hopping operation. Anyway, and yet Admiral Raymond A. Spruance said of the invasion of Tinian, in my opinion, the Tinian operation was probably the most brilliantly conceived and executed amphibious operation in World War II. It's coming from an expert. Tinian, the Forgotten Battle, will be Volume 3 in the Marianas campaign and is a perfect introduction to Adam Starkweather's company scale system, CSS. Played on a single map, it will include 3 scenarios and 3 campaign games. There's Jig Day, a short single-day scenario covering the initial American landings. Lasso, a 2-day scenario covering the American securing of the north end of the island down as far as Mount Lasso. And then Final Roundup, a 3-day scenario covering the last 3 days of the battle and the final subjugation of the island. There's a historical campaign which features the full 9 days from the American landings in the north until the final Japanese surrender. And there's also a hypothetical campaign. The Americans originally feigned at the southern beaches near Tinian town before landing in the north. This campaign game lets you see what would have happened if it weren't a feint, and the Americans landed exactly where the Japanese were expecting them to. There's also a free setup campaign, which is your chance to defend or assault a Pacific island, total control over defenses and landing schedules. Tinian is for 1 to 2 players, so there is a solitaire supplement to this, or a solitaire section to the rules. I assume it's for ages 14 and up. Most war games I always believe are for about 14 and up. Plays in 2 to 35 hours. That's according to Compass Games. And it does carry an MSRP of $99. But as of right now, you can order it for $75. Do want to mention the images that I'm sharing outside of the box artwork, of course, do come from one of the designers of the game, because Compass Games, for some strange reason, almost never shares many images for their games. I don't know why. I have no idea. It's kind of odd. It's very, very strange. And I don't know. One of these days, I'm probably going to stop talking about Compass Games because they send me news all the time and nobody ever responds to my emails that I send them back. Anyway, but this does look pretty interesting, and I always like sharing news of games that actually will focus on lesser known battles or lesser known campaigns. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some RPGs, because Nocturnal Media and Chaosium Inc. have teamed up to bring Greg Stafford's Prince Valiant, the storytelling game, back to print. I've got the dope. Prince Valiant, the storytelling game, is an exciting multiplayer game in which you act out the part of a character in the lawless romantic medieval world of King Arthur and Prince Valiant. The game is social and cooperative, not competitive like poker or chess. Kind of strange how it's kind of made out this way, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what I recall about Prince Valiant, the game, not the comic strip. So the rules are short and simple about the length of a magazine article. The players take turns as the storyteller, the group leader, moderator. Most of this book is not rules, but suggestions, pictures, and stories, all designed to make the storyteller's job easy and fun. The storyteller awards fame points to the players based on their performances. Fighting dragons, solving mysteries, courting damsels, anything can gain you fame. So if you like acting out of parts and you like to see your character become more famous as you play, you'll like Prince Valiant, the storytelling game. It also brings Hal Foster's great epic to life. It includes over 40 superb Foster illustrations, many unpublished for a generation or more. There's also extensive storytelling and reference sections to help you create your own Prince Valiant stories, including information on every major character from the comic. It's a family game suitable for 2 or more players, ages 12 to adult. There's simple rules and complete explanations. Includes everything you need to start playing immediately, including over a dozen exciting adventures ready to use. And what about the episode book? The road to adventure begins here. A companion book to the Prince Valiant storytelling game, this scenario book features short episodes that can be used by storytellers to run adventures or inspire new and exciting stories of their own. Some of the exceptional episodes and authors included within this tome are The Lost Library by Shannon Appleseed, Apple Klein. I think it's Apple Klein. I don't think it's Appleseed. The John of Glenshire by Emily Kerboss. Too Many Tentacles by Ed Greenwood. The Mayor's Lamp by Jeff Grubb. First Flower of Spring by BJ Hensley. Fort Seahawk by Robin D. Laws. Treachery is the Deepest Cut by Monica Valentinelli. Nimu's Song, A Lady's Adventure by John Wick, and many more. Brave adventures await your knights inside these pages. Prince Valiant will be arriving in friendly local game stores in Q1. And the 113-page core book, which is a hardcover, as well as the episode book, for some reason is also indicated at 113 pages, also hardcover, but kind of unusual. I wouldn't expect both of those to be exactly the same page count. Each will carry MSRPs of $29.99. They're both available in PDF right now. They have been out for a little bit in PDF. You can get the core rules for $14.99, or you can also get the episode book for $9.99, or you can grab both together in a bundle for a pretty sweet deal of $19.92. And of course, it is at Drive-Thru RPG. So, I have to point out, I had the original Prince Valiant, which came out from Chaosium. That was back in the point when, this was like late 80s, 88, 89-ish, maybe it was 1990, somewhere around there. And at that point in time, I would just pick up just about anything that came out from Chaosium. I mean, I picked up like ElfQuest, I picked up Prince Valiant, but you got to keep in mind at that point in time too, not only was I really into games, I was also really into comics and comic strips. And if you are familiar at all with Hal Foster's Prince Valiant, which is still publishing to this day, I believe it's once a week. It's obviously Hal Foster's gone because this comic strip actually launched in 1937, and it has been continually in print ever since. Yes, you heard me right, ever since. And funny enough, you would think, oh my gosh, it's got to be like the longest running comic strip in newspapers, right? Although I don't think Prince Valiant's carried in a lot of newspapers, but I do know it's online. And the funny thing is, Prince Valiant doesn't even fall into like the top 10 longest. I mean, there are some that no longer are published anymore, but there were some that were, gosh, what's the number one? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is it Gasoline Alley? I think it might be Gasoline Alley, because I think Gasoline Alley started in 1918. Pretty wild. That was never a comic strip I read like as a kid, but I became more interested in that comic strip as I got older. So pretty wild. But Prince Valiant is super, super easy to play. You're actually flipping coins. I know some people kind of think, man, that's kind of weird, right? So it's basically, you know, for every heads you get, that's a success, right? So you'll have so many coins you get to flip. I think they call them, if I remember right, it's like tossing coins. And you're looking for the coins that come up heads as a success. Obviously enough, if you don't want to sit there throwing pennies and stuff around, then all you got to do is take some 6-sided dice and say, okay, 1 to 3 is a success, 4 to 6 a failure, whatever, switch it around and go from there. But I remember this was a pretty cool system, very, very easy to jump right into. And you can't go wrong with Hal's work. I mean, his artwork is just amazingly gorgeous. Here's another thing. I know I'm kind of rambling on, but Hal Foster, if you look at any of the Prince Valiant strips, there are no text bubbles. There's no dialogue bubbles. It's all written in text. So very, very different. Beautiful work. Just amazingly gorgeous work. All right. So my final news piece is another role-playing game, because the newest RPG series from Free League is arriving in physical form here in the States. And I've got the dope on Forbidden Lands. Round the beggar from Verasa all sat in a ring, and by the campfire they sat and heard his song, and about walkers and wolfkin and every terrible thing, and of his fear he sang to them all night long. There's something beyond the mountains, beyond the howls, beyond the mist. There's something behind the veils, behind hearts cold as stone. Hearkens, something walks and whispers, walks and lures you in and whimpers. Come to us. This earth shall be, this earth shall ever be ours and ours alone. Forbidden Lands is a new take on classic fantasy role-playing. In this open-world survival role-playing game, you're not heroes sent on missions dictated by others. Instead, you are raiders and rogues bent on making your own mark on a cursed world. You will discover lost tombs, fight terrible monsters, wander the wildlands, and if you live long enough, build your own stronghold to defend. It contains a player's manual, including rules for fast character generation, visceral combat, lethal magic, dangerous journeys, and for building your own stronghold. Easily be ported to your own favorite game world. Not bad. There's also the Game Master's Guide, including a rich and detailed description of the Forbidden Lands setting, a large illustrated bestiary, although some people pronounce that bestiary. For some reason, I always thought it's bestiary, because you're talking about beasts and creatures. Don't know. There are also extensive random encounters and 3 complete adventure sites. There's also the Legends and Adventures booklet, letting you flesh out your characters and give them unique backgrounds. Full color map, giving you the freedom to explore the Forbidden Lands any way you want, hex by hex. And it comes from the creators of the award-winning RPGs Tales from the Loop and Coriolis, The Third Horizon, as well as Mutant Year Zero. Box set carries an MSRP of $49.99, or amazingly enough, $45.80 if you order it from the Free League site. It's also available in PDF. I'm taking a guess this is a PDF that's going to probably be a zip file that contains 3 different PDFs, the Player's Guide, Game Master's Guide, and then the Adventure Booklet. And you can score that for $24.99. Should also mention you can buy the physical core set alongside some custom dice, a custom card deck, a deluxe GM screen, and the 200-page hardback Raven's Purge campaign book in the Raven bundle for $114.84. So, do want to point out that Prince Valiant, the storytelling game, as well as this brand new Forbidden Lands, are available at Drive-Thru RPG. And if you happen to be popping over to Drive-Thru RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners, because if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small piece of the pie. Very small. But I gotta admit, a lot of people do use the banner for us, and I really, really appreciate that. Really helps me out, because truthfully, it really normally will pay for the hosting for the Gaming Gang for a month. And I always say it, we don't have cheapo hosting. We don't have GoDaddy hosting. We can't pull in like 90,000 unique visitors a month on GoDaddy hosting. It's just impossible. So I do want to point out, if you're curious what that physical box for Forbidden Lands might look like, you might want to swing in tomorrow, because I've got it from my friends over at Free League. They must have dug the videos that I did for Tales from the Loop, and our friends the Machines, and the Mutant Year Zero. So this I think is pretty interesting, because this is a box set, and I believe inside this box are a hardcover player's guide, a hardcover game master's guide, I'm not sure if that like adventures guide is hardcover or not. There's a map, and then there's a sheet of stickers to use on the map. So, yeah, basically that's what's in it. It says Legend and Adventures booklet. I'm assuming that's just soft cover, right? But pretty cool in this box set. So that is on tomorrow's show. So that's what I wanted to mention. What's coming up on future episodes of the Daily Dope? Now, of course, in just a few minutes, we're going to take a look at Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles. Already pointed out, tomorrow I'm going to crack open that box from Forbidden Lands and take a peek in it. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I had the PDFs too. So I was taking a peek at the Player's Guide and the Game Master's Guide. Really interesting stuff. Pretty interesting. A little bit unusual. I haven't gotten really far into them, but I want to kind of take a peek. So I guess I kind of cheated, right? Because usually I don't really have any clue what's going on when I crack stuff open. But I've actually taken a peek. So that's on tomorrow's show. Then on Wednesday's show, Wednesdays are usually Wargame Wednesdays, but I really don't have any new Wargame stuff. But I do have some other new stuff because my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment sent me a copy of the hardcover for the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I know there are loads and loads of people who are really looking towards checking this out. So this is going to be on Wednesday's show, and we're going to page through the book. We're going to look through the book because that's what I always like to do as far as with the role-playing games. If I got a physical book, we're going to page through it. I'm going to chat a little bit about it. And, you know, you've seen me cover the role-playing games. It's just almost like a stream of consciousness. I will not open this up. I will not take a peek at this. I will not cheat. So when I go through this book, it's going to be a first time for me as well. Then on Thursday, I am going to review the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica for Dungeons & Dragons, because Thursdays is pretty much always role-playing games here at the Daily Dope. So I'm going to do my review of this. I was trying to do it last week if I hadn't been sick. Friday's show, we are finally going to take a look at Mystic Vale from my friends over at AEG. So this is the core game. I actually had unboxed some expansions in the past. Had absolutely no clue about the core game, so I actually have the core game to take a peek at. No, it's not going to be new to some people, but it's going to be new to me. On Monday's show, we're going to do something a little strange, something a little different. We're going to do kind of a family fun Dungeons & Dragons night, because I just received the ABCs of D&D. So it's a kid's book, right? From Ivan Van Norman is the author. So yeah, I'm sure you know Ivan from online. You know Ivan from Outbreak Undead, the role-playing game. We also have the 1, 2, 3s of D&D. So these are kids' books. They are actually from Hunters Entertainment. Yeah, it is. I always have to look to see, is it Hunters Books or Hunters Entertainment? These are actually from Hunters Entertainment. And then I also got that new card game, Dungeon Mayhem. So we're going to take a look at all 3 of these on Monday's show, because there's not enough in the 3 of them to make a separate show for each one. So that is going to be on next Monday's show. Next Tuesday's show, I'm going to talk about 5 role-playing games that are coming in 2019 that I am pumped about. I am very excited about. Next Wednesday, probably have some role-playing game stuff. I'm sorry, some wargaming stuff. Next Thursday's role-playing game stuff, and then next Friday, I'm going to do a kind of like a gift-giving guide, right? Last-minute gift-giving. I'm going to share some of my favorites. Then on the following Monday, on Christmas Eve, I am going to reveal my top games for 2018, my favorite games of 2018, and I am going to tell you what was my favorite game of 2018. So yes, I'm one of these people who I believe when I do an award for something, and I usually don't do like Game of the Year and stuff like that, but I wanted to kind of, you know, say, okay, these games really deserve some recognition. But anyway, I was going to say, people might be a little surprised by my pick. Now, they won't be as surprised as when my game of the year was Dawn of the Zeds, the first edition of Dawn of the Zeds. When it came in a Ziploc bag, people were like, you're out of your mind. What are you, effing crazy? And I was like, sorry, you know, that was my favorite game. I think that my favorite game of 2012? I think that's what it was, 2012? 2011, maybe? I don't know. Been doing the gaming gang for quite a while. I'm in my 9th year. All right, so moving right along. I know people are like, come on, dude, let's get into Battlestar Galactica. So that's what we're going to do. So Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles is from Ares Games. It is designed by Andrea Angiolino and Andrea Mainini. Not sure on the second Andrea's pronunciation there. I'm not positive. Game is for 2 or more players. So, of course, this starter set I'm taking a look at, it's going to be for 2 to 4 players. For ages 8 and up, I don't know. I haven't taken a look at this, so it might be a little more complex. I'm not sure. Plays in 30 to 60 minutes and carries an MSRP of $59.90 when it arrives in stores this month. For some strange reason, I could have swore that this was arriving in stores today, which is a little strange because normally it's Wednesdays that the games appear. But it's weird. It's kind of strange because sometimes we'll have games pop up on like on Tuesdays. Sometimes they come out on Thursdays. So, all right, first off, I'm going to get rid of this shrink wrap. So I'm going to get rid of the shrink here. So this is something that I know a lot of people have been really looking forward to. And of course, I understand there are going to be people who are big Wings of Glory fans who are going to say, oh, for crying out loud, man, why are they focusing on Battlestar Galactica? They should be getting more planes out for Wings of Glory. And I get it. I understand. You're a big fan. I got chewed out. I've gotten chewed out by people because I didn't ask about Wings of Glory stuff when I interview folks from Ares Games at the various conventions. And it's like, they didn't have anything new. What do you want me to ask them about? So anyway, so Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles, one of the cool things about this is eventually Ares Games is going to tackle both the new version that came out, which that is what this core starter set is going to focus on, but it's also going to actually have the Cylon Raiders in that from the original show, which I was a kid and I watched the original Battlestar Galactica, and I have to admit, like the first 3 episodes as a kid of Battlestar Galactica was awesome, and then it quickly started going right down the toilet. So, yeah, and we won't even talk about Galactica 1980 either. Oh, man. All right, so the Cylons were created by man. They evolved. They rebelled. So we're getting, it's basically the flavor text that we've been seeing for quite some time. So this is going to have basically everything we need. Oh, here we go. It says ages 13 and up here. Yeah, that sounds more like it. Not age 8 and up. That's what their sell sheet info is saying is 8 and up, though. All right, so let's crack this on open. So the first thing I had noticed, just taking a peek here. So everybody's going to be like, whoa, man, I really want to see the minis. So when I first was seeing the miniatures, all right, let's get this plastic off here. Is that tape? Yeah, there's a little bit of tape on here. Okay, so let's get that off. Okay, so when I originally was seeing the miniatures, and the funny thing I thought was kind of interesting as far as the images that they've been showing for the box top is that they actually have the Cylon Raiders, 2 Cylon Raiders here, and the 2 Colonial Vipers here, which the actual box itself, that is not how they're laid out. You got the Cylon Raiders on the ends, and then we've got the Vipers here. So of course, they're supposed to be kind of worn. First thing I had noticed is that with the Cylon Raiders, All right, you come on. When I first was seeing them, there wasn't, as you can see, we've got some shading, some shadowing in here. When I first saw these minis, in fact, if you take a look at the image that's out there for the box cover, they're just solid gray, and I was like, whoa, really? Because the Vipers look really good. I was sort of like, well, why are these like just a solid color? Which, as we can see, that is not the case. So very, very cool. I gotta admit, I was not watching Battlestar Galactica during the first season. Trying to remember if I started watching it during the first season, or if I started watching it like between the first and second season, because my best friend Elliot Miller had told me, "Oh, Jeff, you're not watching Battlestar Galactica on Sci-Fi? What are you, nuts?" And I was like, "Come on, dude, it's Sci-Fi. I don't watch crap on Sci-Fi." And he's like, "I'm telling you, you gotta watch this show." And I was like, all right. And man, I was hooked. I thought the ending of the series was a little funky and kind of a letdown, but leading up to like the last 4 episodes of the series, it was fantastic. It was another one of these shows where I was like, I made sure that I was not doing anything when the newest episode was airing. All right, so we've got a couple of the Cylon Raiders. Then we've got bases here, and it looks like these bases are just... Are they all identical? All right, come on, you. Pop on out, thank you. Yeah, I think they look like they're identical. And they turn. All right, let's take a look at the Vipers here. So supposedly there's supposed to be some markings here, because in the starters box we get Apollo's Viper, and then just a standard Viper. Because one of the things that's gonna kind of make this unique, it is different than say Wings of Glory, is that you have pilot cards. And I honestly, having not played Wings of Glory, I don't know if there are like ace cards, like say like Eddie Rickenbacker or anything like that. But I do know that we have pilot cards for Battlestar Galactica. So I don't know how we'll have like pilot cards for the Cylons though. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to take a guess here. All right, so I see we've got like an arrow here, and then we got a little fin here. So is the arrow going to be where the ship is pointing? The direction the ship is moving in? Let's find out. So we've got that. All right. Pretty sweet. I really like the detail. Very, very cool. For those of you who are wondering, I have seen some pictures of the Vipers compared to the X-Wings from Fantasy Flight Games, X-Wing miniatures, and they're comparable in size. So, although I thought X-Wings are probably bigger, if we were to compare the two, right? As if they really existed. I thought X-Wings would be a little bit bigger than the Vipers. That is pretty sweet. Pretty nice. All right, so then we got another one here. And like I said, okay, so that front marking is the same. And it looks like the numbers are the same on it too. It's just kind of different weathering, I guess we would say. It's not actually weathering. It's more like smudges of dirt and oil and things like that are a little bit different. So, yeah, okay. Alrighty. Oh no, I'm sorry. There is a difference. It's just, trust me, I got my reading specs on and the letters are just so tiny on this. But yeah, there does seem to be a difference in the lettering. Now, here are like your control panels here. Now, I would guarantee you folks are going to be painting these up. That is going to be my guess. All right, come on, doesn't this turn? Yeah, there we go. So we've got altitude, we've got speed, we've got kinetic energy, and I'm taking a guess maybe this is facing? I don't know. I have no idea. So we've got 4 of these, one for each of the ships, each of the fighters. All right, so this guy banged up a little bit. So we got the catalog for Ares Games. Got a little deck of cards here, so take a look at those in just a sec. We got some stickers. So we've got here's the Colonial stickers here. And then these stickers are for the Cylons. A couple of 6-sided dice. Like these are pilot cards. Take a look at these in a sec. Now, I could have swore that Ares was doing a special promo card for Starbuck. The new edition Starbuck, not the first edition Starbuck. So, wasn't her name like Kara Thrace or something like that? Almost positive it was Kara. It's been a long time. You know, funny thing is, I should recommend that my nephew Cameron check out Battlestar Galactica, because I'm positive he has never seen it. I mean, I had to get him turned on to The Expanse. In fact, it took me almost a year to get Elliot to watch The Expanse. And then, of course, once he watched it, he and his wife were hooked. Okay, so we got the rule book here. Looks like we got a few pages here, 31, 32. All right, so flipping through here. Showing us the contents. Oh, it says other cardboard components. Quick start rules. Setting up. Yep, and it looks like the Viper actually will go on that little dial there with the arrow facing straight ahead. And we got maneuver cards. Speed settings on control panel, forward movement, backward movement, over boost, special cases, firing. Now, some folks are probably thinking to themselves, well, okay, so I can see, you know, Star Wars, you do a miniatures, you know, starfighter kind of game, because you got different kinds of fighters. There's different sorts of TIE fighters. And there's different, you got the X-Wings and the Y-Wings and the A-Wings and the B-Wings. And then you've got like ships like Slave One and you got the Millennium Falcon, so on and so forth, right? Whereas in Battlestar Galactica, you don't have like a variety of different fighters. So what's really going to change is what I would expect that we'll see is when we see some expansions come out with more ships, those ships are going to mainly feature the pilot cards. That's what people are really going to be picking those up for. And that's why I was mentioning that at PAX Unplugged is where I think that Ares Games was doing the promo card for Starbuck, because this actually released at PAX Unplugged. It just I'm not positive if it's in stores yet or not, because I was taking a peek, and most of the online retailers were all saying it's still a pre-order. So I think this is supposed to be out this week. All right, so we got the complete rules. So we've got some quick start rules, then we got some complete rules. Talking about kinetic energy, rotating the spaceship, inertial movement, changing directions. Overboost, rotating, changing direction, special cases. We got firing. Now we got optional rules, blank maneuver cards, tailing, distances in three-dimensional space. That's one thing that I'm curious about, is the three-dimensional aspects of you know, space fighters and stuff like that. One thing that supposedly is going to be down the line here are going to be capital ships and rules for missiles. I know in the show, missiles were a big deal. So we also have optional features: asteroid fields, dense and sparse, planetoids, pilots, talking about the pilot cards, pilot tokens, limitations of nuggets and rookies, pilot talents and flaws. All right, so there we've got the rule book, and we got a scenario book. Only a few in here, only a few pages here. So ready to play. The Battle of Ragnar Anchorage. Active Contrition. Also, it's actually... Okay, so this is from the mini-series. Then, it's like, this is from Season 1, Episode 4. Season 1, Episode 5. Season 1, Episode 10. That's pretty wild. Inventing new scenarios, linking scenarios in a campaign, scoring victory. It's kind of funny. They actually have an ad for Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which looks pretty cool. It does really look pretty cool. And I have heard that with the new expansions, like the DLC that came out for it, has improved the game. Just what I had heard. I don't know. All right, so these are no doubt the maneuver cards for each of the players. So these are for the Colonial Viper Mark IIs. These are for the Cylon Raiders. So we don't necessarily need to crack open both of those. These are the punch boards. So this is where we've got where we're going to have the asteroid fields. What the heck? Let's go. There we go. Maybe? There we go. All right. That was shrink wrapped pretty tight. Oh, one thing I should point out on a side note, Ares Games is, I'm going to have to try to pull up some news on it. Ares Games is gonna produce a collector's edition of the Battle of Five Armies. So if you've ever seen the collector's edition for War of the Ring, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. So there is talk that they're going to be doing the Battle of Five Armies. So that should be pretty sweet. I'll see if I can find some info to share it. All right, so these are, I don't know. We go. These match up here. No clue. Some sort of orientation here. Okay, and then we've got it's like target locks there. More kind of target locks. I have to take a look to see what all of these are. All right, and then we've got some of these asteroids. These are actually really thin. These aren't. These are a decent. And then we've got looks like our kind of like measuring rulers here. Looks like we got a couple of those in this. We got this. All right, so let's take a look at these maneuver decks, and then, well, you know what? First, let's look at this little deck here. See what this is. And if I remember correctly, didn't they, the way these cards are shaped, wasn't that sort of the shape of they used to play like a card game? Pilots would play this card game or whatever, and wasn't this the cut of the card? I could have swore in the original game, in the original show, wasn't the money like cubits? The cubits almost had a shape like this too. All right, so let's see what we got here. So we got ace cards, expert, average, rookie, nugget. Nugget must be like just somebody's basically thrown into the cockpit. So it's showing their to hit modifiers, from talents, flaws they may have. We got rookie talent other, rookie talent firing, flaws. Oh, you're a boozer. You're an alcoholic. Imprecise pilots, Itchy Trigger Finger, Tormented Soul. So here we've got kind of cool. So you got these different talents. So we got talents other, talent activity, talent firing. So do these count for both the Cylons and? Guess. Taking a guess here. Maybe. Talent maneuver. Yeah, I'm going to take a wild stab that these talents are going to count for both the Colonials as well as the Cylons. It wouldn't be too fair if they didn't have if the Cylons didn't get their own. Then again, maybe they get the red. Maybe the color coding. Yeah, it looks like color coding for firing. Maneuver. Ability is orange. O was other. Okay, so got that. So I'm curious. I'm guessing then that we'll see the Ace, we'll see the Apollo card in here. The pilot card here. Oh no, I'm sorry. We're going to find it in here. So these are the maneuver cards. How you're going to plot your movement. Huh. Okay. Interesting. So I'm going to take a guess. You're going to play a card and maybe a token. Then you flip over the card and the number on the token is going to indicate which of your maneuvers you make, or maybe it's based on your speed. That's what it is. Maybe it's based on your speed. Possibility. Okay. Interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to checking this out. I bet you Elliot would be really into checking this out too. I'm sure Cameron, my nephew, would get a kick out of it, but having never watched either iterations of the show, I don't know if he'd really have much of a. He wouldn't have any like real investment in it, I guess. So nice, pretty cool. So we've got this is the deck for the Vipers Mark IIs. Let's see what we got for the Cylon Raiders. Take a guess, probably similar or maybe even identical. All right, so yeah, it looks pretty similar. Yeah, they're identical. Let's see, last one here. No, that's a little different. Yeah, I think they are. I think they're exactly the same. I believe they are exactly the same, except just player with a Cylon Raider gets this, player with a Colonial Viper gets this. So that's what I think that is. Pop these back in here. Nice storage. That's cool. I like that. Definitely dig that. Let's take a look at these cards. This is where we're going to find... Yep, there he is. It's Apollo. I think Apollo's like the only like main pilot that's included for the Colonials. I think he's the only main pilot. Let's take a look. I might be wrong. Right, so there we go. There's Apollo. There's pilot ID for the Cylon. Oh, it's he's a pretty good pilot, man. He's, well, I tell you, the adventures of a man, pretty smoking good pilot. All right, so we got a couple of those, right? Oh, then we got some schematics. Sort of visual, kind of visual aid here. Tech 6, structure 14, acceleration 3. So those are for the two Vipers. And then we see we've got the Cylon Raider. Got those two. So wait a second. So there's only one pilot card for the Colonials, but then the Cylons get two? That's kind of strange. Then maybe these really are only for the Colonials, unless maybe you just I don't know, maybe you could, like, one pilot, you can just, like, you get so many cards that you can choose from. Like, for an example, maybe you actually give these cards to the player who has this pilot here. Maybe you give these cards to the player who's taken Apollo as their pilot. I don't know. That's a possibility. I'm not sure. Have to read the rules before I find anything out. So looks like these all go like this. Looks like we've got some extra storage space for some stuff. Got the stickers as well. The dice. So we've got the 4 maneuver decks there. We've got the pilot deck. We've got the abilities deck. We've got 3 punch boards and a couple of these movement and distance rulers there. We've got the different asteroids. We got the scenario book, the rule book. We've got the 4 control panels, as well as we've got the 4 stands here. These are kind of a pain to squeeze back in. All right, I just won't put the plastic back on top. Yeah, it won't close that way, so I'm gonna just do it like this. All right, so we got the 4 different stands, which actually rotates. Pop that on off. We've got the 2 Vipers, as well as the 2 Cylon Raiders. Sweet. And of course, we also have the catalog for Ares Games. And that's what we find when we take everything from the starter set for Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles outside the box. Pretty sweet. And of course, I will have a review of Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles in the very, very near future. I'm hoping to start getting some more reviews out there, probably a little bit next week. I don't think I'm going to get a review of this out next week, but I should have it the week between, I should say, Christmas and New Year's. So there you have it. Once again, Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles is from Ares Games, designed by Andrea Angiolino and Andrea Menini. Hoping it's right on that one. It's for 2 or more players, ages 13 and up according to the box, and plays in about 30 to 60 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $59.90. I will point out, I have seen it for around $42 online. So, not trying to talk people out of supporting their friendly local game stores. I'm just mentioning, I have seen it for about $42 online. All right, so that's it for tonight's show. As I mentioned, tomorrow I will be back, and we are going to take a nice deep dive into Forbidden Lands from Free League, as well as Modifius Entertainment. I forgot to mention Modifius with this, so don't want to forget Chris Birch and the gang over at Modifius. So that will be on tomorrow's show. So, as I always like to point out, when you're not watching The Daily Dope or you're hanging out on the Gaming Gang channel here at YouTube, sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I will be back tomorrow. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And If you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.